We are here to talk about something that has come up quite a lot today, actually, which is technology and efficiency. So it does actually feed along quite well from the previous section. So I want to start with a bit of a story, actually. A few years ago, I got this job. And actually Heather had me on stage here, which I think was probably not the best choice, actually. I feel much more confident around what I'm talking about today, and enthusiastic, actually. So a few years ago, I got this role, and as many of you, I think, would relate to getting a new job, thinking about what's the strategy, what impact do we want to make, what maybe change of direction we want to take the business in. And we started with some grand plans. We thought, we're going to grow our AUA, we've got all these propositional enhancements. We're going to be awesome. And actually, we took a step back, and this probably sounds a little bit profound, it's not meant to be. What are we actually here to do? We're not here to grow our AUA by a certain amount. We're not here to throw on a whole lot of propositional enhancements. We're actually here to fix advisor problems. And that's as really basic and simple as it is, and I know that's probably really obvious, but we had to almost take a step back to say, this is what a platform, at our core purpose, this is what we need to do. We need to provide an efficient system for our advisors so they can provide great solutions to their clients and build better businesses. So that got us to a point of saying, okay, so let's just make our platform awesome, really efficient, great. So yes, we could definitely focus on that, but it does sound really boring as well. So we thought, we can't fix all of the problems around efficiency, around rekeying. Who said 9 times today? Oh my gosh, we talk about rekeying twice or 3 times. 9 times is ridiculous. So we thought, we can't do this on our own. We actually need to look at the tech stack and work out how we integrate, how we make it easier across the tech stack. And we looked at CRM first. Well, not first. We looked at the CRM, and then we looked at financial planning software. So we realised that actually there was an opportunity to be more than just a platform. And actually Heather, in a recent report, termed us Platform Plus, which I actually think is quite a nice way of thinking about it. And we have stolen that, Heather. I'm not sure whether we owe you marketing money or something for that, but we think it's a great term. So we decided that there was a different opportunity for us, and this Platform Plus could be quite an interesting place to be. So we engaged our strategic ventures business, and they do kind of early seed funding and have a great contact with fintechs. And we didn't really have a clear view of whether we wanted to buy something, whether we wanted it to be a partnership, whether we needed to build it ourselves, whether we needed to integrate. We just knew there was a role to play to do this, to make it simpler. So within a very short space of time, our strategic ventures business introduced us to a group called Conquest, which is a Canadian fintech. And many of you will probably relate to this as well, when you have one of those moments where someone says, "Where were you when this happened?" I remember where I was sitting, what I was wearing. When I got this demonstration from this software, I did have a, wow, this is a game changer. And actually, I think it will have such an impact on advisors' businesses. One of the groups that use us suggests it takes them now 8 hours less than what it was taking to do a financial plan for their clients. So Conquest was introduced to us. We partnered with them because of a few reasons, and actually Dave just mentioned one of them. They are API built first, so they are new tech, and that's definitely what we wanted and who we wanted to partner with. They knew wealth and financial planning through and through, so they actually understand what an advisor does. They had a track record, so they'd actually built a similar system before, and they were willing to partner with us. So that's how we ended up with Conquest. Now, rather than me continue to tell you how good they are, we have Paul here. It's very hard, by the way, to get an advisor to come and speak at something like this. So thank you very much. Yes, you are speaking. So Paul is part of Chancery Financial Planning, part of Amber River, which is one of the biggest growing financial service firms, financial planning firms in the UK. So, Paul, we haven't rehearsed this at all, have we?
No, not really.
Just slightly. So how important is financial planning software for your business?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting debate today, and obviously lots of different people in the room coming from different angles. After the first panel, I was a bit worried no one had mentioned planning at all. It was all about funds and risk and everything else. Second panel, great, much more. I will be in touch with Alistair for that 5-pager. Ours is terrible. But no, so we've been using financial planning software for about 10 years. One of the obvious names that you might expect. Prior to that, it was very much a case of, actually Brett Davison was mentioned earlier as well. We've been on the course with him, and I thought, I'll give it a go, but it probably won't take off because it's all about people and you're not going to be able to use technology in that way. Complete converts. It forms part of everything we do with clients. And what we found really is that we don't have those awkward conversations very often with clients about a rubbish year like 2022 because behind the scenes we're constantly coming back to the plan. And in isolation, one good year, one bad year probably doesn't have a huge impact if you've built the plan correctly at outset. So it's a very long-winded way of saying, yeah, they have quite a big part.
It's very important.
Yeah.
And in terms of the efficiency that I was talking about earlier and rekeying, does that resonate with you? Is that an issue for your business or something you've overcome?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of rekeying. We've got quite a big sort of power planning admin team. Current software we use is quite labour intensive. There's elements that you can sort of push one direction, but the ability to be able to extract information and get systems talking to each other is really important. Obviously, as everyone's about to find out, we've done some work with Conquest. It's their development where they are is really exciting. They're very much listening to advisors and what advisors want. And yeah, anything that's going to speed that process up, but not damage the output. It's all well and good doing it quicker and making it a bit slicker, but what the client experience has got to be as good, if not better. Yeah, so everything today's resonated in one form or another.
Yeah, that's great. And I do think that the Conquest software does have a really good client interface. I suppose when I say client interface, you can actually walk through it with your client. It looks really good. It's easy to understand, and you can just change it on the spot. So if your client says, no, actually, that's not what I want to do. I don't like the idea of putting more money into my SIP. I'd like to do something else. You can just take that strategy away and it will recalculate on the spot the next best options for your client. So that's quite good. And as you say, your clients like to kind of see it and interact.
I think what we found with previous things we've used is the advisors have got to come up with all the ideas.
Yes.
And the software, you can input those ideas and get great output. Something that was quite appealing to Conquest, which I resisted when I first saw it because it was a bit, was we use the term AI. I'm not a tech expert, so I've probably used that incorrectly. But you put in enough information about clients, their objectives, where they are, and with a few additional questions about where they're willing to flex on those plans and objectives, you get some great potential client outcomes. Now, as an advisor, you still want to then have your input, discuss those with the clients. Some you'll be taking off the table straight away. But it does take away some of the heavy lifting. And I mean, our business is probably a little bit more traditional, higher net worth, annual reviews. I know there's a debate around whether they're necessary. Something like Conquest, you could see being usable at maybe a lower level within sort of the planning piece, or maybe those that want almost a bit more of an automated output as opposed to needing as much human intervention. So, yeah, it's quite exciting.
Actually, and we did not plan this, but one of the really great things about Conquest as well, and they've been quite successful in Canada, is you can narrow down the scenarios. So if you do have clients that are maybe with less complex needs, you can actually narrow down the strategies that might be more simple to a client that maybe has less money or less complex needs. It can also be incredibly sophisticated as well. So I think you're right. And we've actually had a couple of opportunities to offer it as a digital advice solution, which I don't think initially when we looked at this, we quite saw that opportunity.
No, I mean, when you first build a plan, as I said, and reluctant to compare it to others, it's almost like a dashboard, or you've got these little speedometers of how close you are to achieving those objectives. And you see all of them side by side. So retirement's one, helping children university fees, house deposits, inheritance tax planning, whatever it might be. And then very close together where you are with the current planning and achieving all of those. And then that ability to pick and choose between which, and as I said, and some of the sort of automated output is really helpful. I don't think for a second it replaces advisors. That was probably one of my biggest worries. But it's something that you can be very interactive and just get people engaged. I think a lot of what we do is quite dull behind the scenes, and to Alistair's point as well earlier on, it's once they've left the room, they don't really want to have to go through all of it again by themselves. So getting them as engaged as possible in the room is great.
It's interesting how we all think it's really exciting and
Fantastic.
our
I love
clients
a good
don't
spreadsheet.
necessarily. I think it's a really interesting point that you made around, at first you're a little bit like, oh gosh, is this going to replace what we do? I think it's a really interesting challenge, and definitely initially when we tested this before we decided to kind of customise it, a couple of advisors said, oh yeah, but I've got a few spreadsheets and that's just how we work, and I've got 4 people working on it. And there was real hesitation to actually embrace the new technology, even though it made it easy, and it probably, well, I would say this, it provides better outcomes for clients.
Yeah, I think you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's probably where we went into it and sort of looked at it and thought, fine, okay, we'll have a look, but it's never going to be as good as. And then actually, once you start to scratch under the surface, you ask all the questions. Again, the team that we were dealing with at Conquest, very open. You know, one of my colleagues, Yannette, she wrote a very long list of everything. She tried to break it, basically, and it was quite reassuring that they had answers to all of that. Good to hear about some of the development. I think that's important. As to a point earlier on about platform as well, you can get a little bit blinkered. If it's working, you don't necessarily look much beyond the edges because it's working and we're all busy. But one thing from today with all the different ones is just pushing back, taking a day out and saying, well, actually, maybe we do need to just change track occasionally.
Yeah, change is as good as a holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Consumer duty, I'm surprised at how little consumer duty has been mentioned today. I don't know about you guys. I feel like we are absolutely up to our eyebrows in it at the moment. But do you see this type of financial planning software helping you with your consumer duty obligations?
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope that the regulator, what they're really trying to get to is getting away from, I use the term products, and more into the client, and being able to translate everything that's going on around into a workable plan that the client understands. It's always coming back to whether or not they're going to achieve their objectives. And then the products are a necessary sort of byproduct of all of that. So yeah, no, I mean, we took that view with advice a long time ago, and it's worked really well. As I said, you get away from good year, bad year, and more about what are you trying to achieve. I think the chap from Hargreaves had said, clients come in with their 10 maybe. They probably want all of that. They don't yet know they want or need all of it, and that's part of the relationship. Now, all of our clients we see on an annual basis at least, and keep coming back to that planning piece works really well. And I think it adds value. Can never put a number on it. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
You can show percentage increases or decreases. The peace of mind is a value that the client themselves will get that you can't really put a tag on.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so everyone, if you need help with consumer duty, we can help you with that. We are almost out of time. So thank you very much, by the way. I know, yes, it was surprisingly difficult to get an advisor who wanted to sit here and talk in front of people. So I really appreciate it. You didn't want to, I know, but you've been very good. Thank you. So what's next for Conquest and Fidelity? We are integrating. You know, we can't have great financial planning software and recognise the challenges in the industry if we can't integrate. So that's coming up next. The pension changes last week. So I was speaking to the team in Canada last night. They're hoping that will come out in next month's release. So again, when you're dealing with fintech's new technology, the release cycle is monthly. So being able to respond to changes and release to market is also really critical. So as I said, we're really excited about this. We really believe that helping advisors fix their problems, fix their problems, that sounds a bit personal, doesn't it? Help you solve your business issues and efficiencies to help provide better solutions to clients is something where we think there is a bit of a gap in the market, and we're hoping we can fill it, but also look for more integrations as well. And Heather, that's it.
I'm having trouble applauding, sorry. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jackie. I think that's a really important step from where we were just having the debate about platforms, to think not just about existing platform model and new platform model, but the evolution of existing platforms, because it's not it's, the existing platforms aren't standing still. And that was the point we were making about Platform Plus as an alternative. And also, Paul, you mentioned being able to connect with people with different requirements, potentially, with different requirements than you would have been servicing in the past. And so that idea that I presented at the beginning of thinking about how humans connect with technology and how that allows us to connect with a wider audience, I think is really important. And you also mentioned bringing the people on the journey. I think you both referenced that, which came up in the morning session as well. So some really key themes coming through there.